Hi. Well, how to ensure a constant customer pipeline as a freelancer? This is such a massive question. Such a massive question that I actually started freelance business community because of that question. 10 years ago, when I became independent, I had quite a luxurious position by securing big contracts with customers. And I thought, life is beautiful. You don't need to do anything. Clients come to you. This is fantastic. But then 10 years after, the contracts were stopped because of the financial difficulties in the industry. And I ended up on the market. And this is how I realized I know exactly nothing about running a business. So I started connecting with other freelancers and learning, and that gave birth to a community, which first started here in Belgium, but then spread out across countries online. And through the years, I had so many discussions with freelancers, with experts, business coaches, trying to figure out what actually moves the needle in business. And what I learned is, first of all, is that there is lots and lots disconnected advice out there. There is no proper business skills training for freelancers out there as such, unless you get some in your corporate past, and that freelancers have to figure out a lot by themselves. And talking about pipeline, of course, it's very important to have a strong pipeline, and we can look at it from two angles, actually. One is a very technical one, just looking at numbers. And what it looks in reality is just calculating how many customers you need to have a year and how many conversations you need to have in order to gain those customers. And this is really a projection. It's really a projection. Things may vary. Maybe you work more hours in a week, maybe you work more hours in a year, maybe your fee per project is different, maybe you need to have less or more revenue a year. Really, really depends. But the most interesting column in this slide is conversations. And as you can see, conversion rate differs. So there is a big difference, obviously, from having 8 conversations and 200 conversations in order to get the same results. So then there is a conceptual part concerning a pipeline. And that conceptual part is actually influencing the conversion percentage. And I'm here today to explain that conceptual part. And I guarantee when you hear the system and how it works, it will become much clearer in your head to understand what is actually happening, how one thing is influencing another, and how the other things is influencing your pipeline altogether. So pipeline conversion percentage depends on your proximity to the customer. The better relationship you have with your potential customers and customers overall, and your network in general, the bigger success you can have. And eventually the high conversion happens when you position yourself as an expert. But what does it mean, positioning yourself an expert? Like, can you just call yourself an expert? Or can you just call yourself consultant and then clients fly to you like bees on the honey? Well, that's how I thought it is. But it's not exactly that way. And when we talk about sales, we kind of hate it. People hate selling. They think it's something dirty that you have to pitch and ask and beg. And we fall into social media advertisements like this that promise quick rewards and little effort. And hey, you can book your high-paying ticket clients without even showing testimonial, like they're going to believe you, or not even picking up the phone. How are you going to sell then? Or there's another example I like when someone said, hey, you can just package all what you can do and sell it. And look, I've done the same and I generated 1 million. Yeah, it sounds just too it doesn't sound realistic to me. But people do think there is a secret formula out there. Probably an easier formula than this. That looks a bit complicated to me. But we constantly think there should be something, someone knows something that will help me to generate lots of clients all of a sudden, almost all over the night. But what happens in reality is pipeline is part of your positioning system. And you can't just extract this from equation. Now, when you hear positioning, you probably think right now, oh no, she's going to talk about finding a niche. I really hate it. And I know you hate it. I heard this so many times from many people. I refuse to believe I need to have a niche myself because there is so much unrelated advice there, and it's just somehow not connected to what we do. Well, the reasoning why there is so much unconnected advice out there is because all of the positioning frameworks and theories are coming from corporate world, obviously. And just to give you an example here, there are two frameworks. One developed by April Dunford. She speaks primarily about positioning for SaaS, technology startups and scale-ups. And she comes to those clients. She's a solopreneur herself, and that's the only thing she does for them. She works on their positioning. Boom. Then another example is from Kotler book, from MBA book that talks about positioning for pharmaceutical products. And if you read through the slide, like what they mention in the frameworks, there are some similarities, but at the same time, slightly different things. And then you don't know what really applies to a freelancer. But it shouldn't apply to a freelancer because freelancer, even though we run a business, it's so much different comparing to cooperation. Of course, freelancer runs marketing and sales and delivers services and provides customer support and many other things, all in one head and one body. So it's not really a company. So positioning for freelancers should have something else. Now, Al Ries, the godfather of positioning, said that positioning is what you do to the mind of the prospect. For me, that means that there should be some kind of interaction between you and customer in the first place. But look what we do when we speak about positioning. Most of the time, we say that positioning for a freelancer is finding the niche and finding ideal customer. Now, that is not directed to customer at all. That is directed to yourself. You have to find something inside yourself to figure out what you do in this life, right? To give you an example here of a shop, some strange random shop that appeared on a busy shopping street in your town. So you walk along the street and see there is a new shop opened. Very mysterious. There is no signage. There is no advertisement. Windows are sealed. You can't see what's inside, but door is open. And of course, there is a lot of traffic on that street. There are lots of customers go and buy something. And some of them, out of curiosity, go and sneak in this shop. And they see that inside the shop, they sell stones. So some people like, what the hell? Some people, why not? I'm going to buy one. But I guarantee the success of that enterprise will not be massive. Quite soon the shop will be closed. And I give that example because lots of freelancers are acting exactly that. They open the shop and they think customer will come. There is no advertisement, no naming of what they do. They kind on LinkedIn. There are lots of people on LinkedIn and they're hoping someone's going to shop. But that never happens. Now, what we know about positioning, as I mentioned, is finding your niche, finding your ideal customers. And I guarantee if you Google about it, you'll find lots and lots of materials speaking about the same. But that is just the top of the iceberg. This is what we see. This is what customers see. This is what you have defined for yourself. But have you validated? That's another question. So there are actually 8 P's in positioning, at least to my perspective, that I'm going to guide you through to explain what's exactly is hidden under the water. So we're going to dive deep under the water to explore what influencing positioning and instantly your pipeline. Because remember, the better you're positioned, the better conversion is. So let's do this. Let me draw the line here. That is the top of iceberg. Al Ries, the godfather of positioning, said that positioning starts with product. And indeed, we first need to product. And in our context, product is the service that you sell. And when we talk about product, I like to see the solution for a customer problem and the outcome. Not copywriting, not software development, not whatever else, but solution to a customer problem, which means you need to know the problem. And how do you know the problem? By talking to your customers. And the outcome of your solution. Now, to give you a quick hint here, there are two possible outcomes of your services to your customer business. One is that you help them to earn more. And two, you help them to save more. So, for example, you say, I do that service, and the outcome of that is that you're gonna win more business. I guarantee if you run that type of discussions, you have all the attention. All right, the product is defined. The next, Seth Godin said that you need to have a minimal viable audience. So these are people. An audience, obviously, are your customers. ICP, as they call it, ideal customer profile. And that's how they limit things. Of course, they talk about promotion and all that. But in my ideal world, your people system should have network. The network is everything. Just judge by yourself. People with huge network have more success. And it's actually scientifically proven. And communication skills. That is the only soft skill that I like to emphasize in this framework, because without communication skills, folks, you are not going to move very far. And to give you an example, for instance, you have defined fantastic product and outcome, like you have a solution to client problem and you know who client is. And then you decided to target that client in a market where you don't speak the language, like you're German IT developer and you decided to target a customer in France and you only speak German. So that's not going to fly. Alrighty. The next to that is place. Place is one of the biggest components for the in a framework. And place is where your people, sorry, I can't type, people hang out. And listen, people is not only your customers. This is your network as well. These are your supporters. These are your collaborators. These are your partners, influencers, sponsors in many ways, and so forth and so on. Next to that, promotion. Promotion obviously is activity that generates interest and demand for your services. But most importantly, this is building your personal brand. Now, if you recognize yourself in a situation where you hear people saying, oh, you have to build your personal brand, and I can see lots of people going, oh God, but what do I do there? Like, is it posting on LinkedIn? What is it, building personal brand? Well, that isn't clear because you have not worked on all what's coming. I can guarantee you that the moment you define a product and the people you target with this product, you know what to talk about and you know where to talk about, and you can't stop talking about that. I can tell that by myself. Alrighty, but no promotion is good without physical evidence. And what is physical evidence? Social proof. It's when customers sell for you almost. And trust signals. And trust signals are everywhere. This is your This is your portfolio, this is your website, this is your LinkedIn, social media, whatever. Maybe you publish something online. The trust signals the level of your expertise. So whenever you post something, think about that. Quite often, I see people giving disconnected signals, and sometimes you want to kind of believe what they do, but then you check and it's just not exactly what you want to see. All right, physical evidence supported by process. Now, just to illustrate what process really means, there can be lots of things in here. But first of all, it is your work, delivery, and a big part of it, business administration. I'm not talking about business administration in this talk, but please be aware that it should have big attention from your side. And also frameworks and innovations are part of the process components. And here I'm not talking about Nobel Prize level of innovations. It can be simple things that help you to run business. It helps you to come up with the customer, to come to the customer and say, hey, I have the solution. This is the framework for it. I have developed it based on years of my experience, or like years of talking to people and figuring out, I have it. This is your IP. What happens most of the time, the moment you start owning a framework that you have developed, you monetize on your framework. This is how people start publishing books. This is how people start selling courses. This is how people start selling some additional digital products out of that. So it's in a way to diversify your business as well. Performance is the next P in the framework. And performance has two angles. One is the quality of your work, and two, it's a personal satisfaction. And you see how interesting it aligns. If you don't have personal satisfaction from the rest that you do, you will not have a sustainable business. At some point, you will burn out because you're doing shitty work that you don't enjoy. So satisfaction is important. The quality of work is mega important. Imagine you have everything. You product people, you know how to connect with people, you show the physical evidence, but somehow the quality of your work sucks, to put it lightly. Then you may have a customer once, but you will not have a repeated customer. And repeated customers are bringing 80% of your revenue. Pareto principle, 20% brings 20% of effort brings 80% of results. Definitely keep that in mind, especially looking at how much time it would take you to run the conversations to gain new customer. You should really be concerned about the quality big time. And finally, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The last P is price. And you see what happens, folks, here. Most of the freelancers compete on price only. And why it happens? Because all the rest is absent. Yeah? Do you recognize yourself? The moment you start moving at least a little bit in this piece, showing your physical evidence, connecting with the right people in the right place, looking after your processes, and like over even performing yourself, then price doesn't matter anymore. Then you are able to dictate the price that is relevant to your expertise. And look, interesting things happen here. So you deliver value to your customer, and then you get value in return. This is actually a framework. I have to move things here. This is actually a framework to switch to value pricing. You follow me? So whenever you come to customer with significant outcomes that you promise, you can charge based on outcomes and not per hour. And look what else happens here. this. These two things, three actually, fuels your passion. You may argue that you have to chase your passion and discover your passion. Well, I will agree with Paul Yarvin, author of Company of One, that says you have to develop your passion, and you develop your passion by working and trying different things. And if it's related to work, obviously you want to be paid for the passion, then you have to try as many things as possible. And listen, it doesn't need to be absolutely polar things. It can be in the same industry, in the same domain. You just try slightly different things. The reason why freelancers are afraid to fix themselves in a niche or ideal customer, because they think it's like a marriage without a prenup. Like they stuck there, but that's not true. You can change that as many times as you want, but just make sure it is still supported by the physical evidence and you have solid processes behind. So, okay, this is passion. Look what happens here. And I need this first. So process together with your performance metrics and price, responsible for productivity and mostly profitability. Yeah. And what happens here? These aspects of the framework actually, they move your business forward. Surprise. So your network, communication skills, hanging out in the right places, promoting yourself, and showing the evidence of your great work is what moves your business ahead. That is what moves your pipeline, people. Not sales, magical emails or calls, not updating your profile on LinkedIn without any reason. It's the system coherently working one by one together works to your advantage. I know many people trying to fix the price without working on this, and they fail. I know people that just start promoting themselves without even figuring out what they're doing and then getting no results. That's the path to frustration in the first place. So that's it in short. To answer then the question about the pipeline, how to ensure the pipeline, first build connections, meaningful connections that would bring value to you and to your customer. You can learn more about the framework on Freelance Business Academy website. You can check Freelance Business EU or freelancebusiness.academy. You can also analyze your gaps, because obviously talking about these things is one thing, but then doing the work yourself is another. In Academy, we have a digital assessment that goes through all the 8 Ps separately. You will be assessed on every single P that I mentioned here, and you can get personalized recommendations on how to move forward. This is absolutely a genius invention. I will not deny. We spent lots of months developing this framework and the thinking behind it. So I hope you can enjoy it. In the link that I hope will be shared, you can download a sample of questions. That is not a complete assessment, I assure you. The complete assessment is much more detailed, and I'm sure you will enjoy answering the questions. Lots of people said it actually gave them the thinking grounds already from answering those questions. But when you get a report, you actually, I think, will be quite surprised by seeing what you can do in your business. I hope you enjoyed this talk, and I am looking forward to seeing you in Berlin. Best of luck. Cheers. Bye-bye.